Thank you. Putting out the call or the invitation for sake of just making a call, we are sincere about this. In the first instance, and I think in a democratic setup, while protest is allowed, it's legitimate, but there is also a process. I think protest should be the last resort, because what we can win and achieve on the boardroom or around the table would maybe possibly have the same outcome on the street. So why don't we start with in the boardroom and have an open and transparent dialogue? Government is sincere with this call, and like I said, we would have preferred a situation where the movement submitted a public petition. It's prescribed, there is a process, there is a way, and government would have done exactly what we are doing today. And like I said, the protest, whatever the outcome of the protest, the objective is transparent, corrupt-free, where possible, Gambia. Possibility. We are on the same page, like the minister has said. It's not us versus them. We are one state where we are to this, and it's when your recommendation will come into play.
Thank you.
di jaajëfal déwén ci liñ jot a leeral fii ci cases yi nga xam ne ci fukk ak ñett ci liñ jot a yëg mooy ñi nga xam ne ñoo nekk ci Ministry of Health xanaa ñoom rek ñoo demagum fi nga xam ne moo nekk court yeneen yëpp liñ dégg mooy ñu ngi def gëstu dem nañ yóbbu nañ ñi lii kañ lañ séntu ci ñoom ñi nga xam ne tudd leen leen pour ñu leen teew fa mba xam ne doon na benn pour ñu àtte
ni ñoo liggéeyee si gëstu tuumal yooyu mooy police yi ñoo dee commencé investigation bi ñoo dee gëstu mbir mi so police yi dañ ko dee gëstu ñoom buñ gëstoo ba pare ñu yónni file bi si suma office mooy the Attorney General's Chambers and the Ministry of Justice ñun nag suñ jotee file bi yu baree dee ñëw lii suñ liggéey mooy ñu gëstu evidence yi nga xam ne yooyu la police yi am si file bi li dee yàggal affaire bi benn ñaar ba different reasons yi dee tax a file bi di yàgga either at the level of investigation or si ñun pour analyse file si man suma side mooy benn pour gëstu evidence yi ba nga am enough evidence buy support alleged charges yi sometimes daf dee jël time because every evidence bu police yi def si biir file bi including su fekkee ne audit la lii yëpp da nga ko war a gëstu bu baax a baax because am nañu lot of experience bi nga xam ne dañ dee yàkkamte ñu dem si court bi ñu lose case bi either because amuñ sufficient evidence nag dafa war a doy su ma ko wax si angale sufficiency bi dafa nekk in quantity ak quality suñ amul enough evidence liñ dee def mooy ne dañ dee delloo file bi baax si police bi ñu wax leen fuñ yaakaar ne foofu la gaab si nekk then ñu def further investigation so some of these cases yi nga xam ne ñu ngi leen a laajte su fekkee ne seet nañ trafic bi dinañ gis ne dem nañ si police yi ñëw na justice dellu na police ñëw na si ñun because anytime suñ gestoo file bi suñ gisee gaps dañ ko dee send back to the police ñu wax leen ne there are gaps ñu delluwaat gestu port authority file bi si la bokka ak yeneen file anytime su Ministry of Justice formé opinion ne am nañ sufficient evidence pour support charges yi naturally dinañ file indictments so am na yoo xam ne ni am na yoo xam ne ba léegi evidence yi ngi si file yi doyanguñ ñu so dañ ko dee delloo si police yi ñu def further investigations so loolu lañ toll waaye bu ñu amee any file boo xam ne gis nañ fa sufficient benn file du fanaan si Ministry of Justice we'll file all of them bépp koo xam ne file anguñ ko that means the legal opinion bi moo form opinion ne sufficient evidence nekku fa pour sustain charges yi da nga leen a war a understand ne lépp luñ fa nekka tuumal la te tuumal boo demee court yow mi tuumal ki nga tuumal yow yaa ko war a prove beyond reasonable doubt. It's not just proof, but you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. So when we don't have sufficient evidence, we don't go to court. There is no attempt on the side of the Ministry of Justice or the state to cover or protect anybody. Once investigations are done, we investigate, we evaluate the evidence. If we are not satisfied, we send it back for further investigations. At the moment.
Thank you, Honorable.
they were assembled unlawfully without authority, which is in the Public Order Act. We want to know what is the executive commitment in time to reform the Public Order Act, which was instituted during the colonial days. What the Minister of Finance made mention of some of the corruption allegations that the government is taking to eradicate corruption. We've seen people with $30,000 being dismissed from their public spaces, and we've cited a case involving $950,000 lasses. The individual was just demoted and allowed to pay. Isn't that selective justice in the way you administer justice? Thank you.
The Public Order Act is not the only piece of legislation that is colonial legislation we inherited. Our laws are still full of legislations that are old, but the usability of a legislation is not necessarily only based on the time or the duration or how old a piece of legislation is. We're still using a lot of legislations that are colonial or even post-independence. Yes, Public Order Act is one of them. It has been challenged, and we commend civil society. It has been challenged at the ECOWAS Community Court by some Gambians to declare some aspect of the Public Order Act as violation of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. ECOWAS Community Court delivered a different judgment. They disagreed, and they said it is not against the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. It was also challenged before our own Gambian Supreme Court and the constitutionality of the Public Order Act. And the Supreme Court again said that the Public Order Act is not unconstitutional. So the legality or the constitutionality of the Public Order Act is settled. Now, whether we want to maintain it in our laws or we want to remove it, this is an ongoing dialogue, and government is free to be engaged to this discussion. That's what I can say at this stage. Wait, I give you a mic.
Sorry about that. I have a follow-up on this specific question. This government came since 2017, and one of the promises was exactly this public order. One of the promises was exactly to repeal and reform bad laws like this Public Order Act that have been used, weaponized by the security forces, leading to the death of Solo Sende. All right? This is a very dangerous way in that regard. So, the government of President Adama Barrow, since 2017, made some of these promises, coalition. Not only that, the TRRC has come out with recommendations for this government to review and address this Public Order Act. Your government, under you, wrote the white paper and said you promised that you would look at it and review it. What do you say now? I mean, you need to tell Gambians something, because it could lead to a state of national security in this country.
Just take it easy. The legislative reform agenda of this government is huge. And those of you who follow the developments in the National Assembly will see the volume of legislations that have been submitted every session in the National Assembly. So we have a very ambitious legislative reform agenda, but this is a process, so it's an ongoing one. Which one? No, somebody will answer to that. So I was just dealing with the public order.
With respect to the concern about selective justice, right? Yes. The nature of the cases are different. There are those that are outright theft, the planning, the executions, and even when confronted with the facts, there was denial. So it was deliberate. And the conclusion led to only one thing, misconduct. So then those decisions were taken. In the case, maybe termination or dismissals in some cases. Now, in this instance, the gentleman claimed that the money were used during transit. So when he was confronted, because the players themselves said, no, we were not given any such things. But he, plus few other testimonies that suggest that he might have used some, but the commission did not believe it. So it was a lie as far as the commission was concerned. Now, this was an interest, so he haven't planned to steal. It was a legitimate money given for specific purpose. He conducted the purpose, but in the process also lie about it. Okay, the intent might have been there, but again, like I said, he did indicate that he had, and he presented his defense at the commission, presented some facts, but the general conclusion was that this is not believable. We are going by our assertions, and that is the money was not used, as you said. Now, the reports of government or the recommendation of the commission was, okay, first step, return this money. And the money was returned. All right? So, and then what is the consequence? Next step, then they recommended for demotion, and that was also done. Now, again, if in the case is still being reviewed, but at the moment, that is where the case was. The primary objective of government was to recover every butut of the funds, and that was done.
But looking at the magnitude of the two opposite amounts in two cases here, this could be considered as selective justice, given the man in question might be close to the government. $30,000 to $950,000. You made mention of the intention to lie, or he already lied, and somebody who just collected $30,000. Doesn't make logic to actually terminate his service and leaving the other person to pay. Couldn't that strategy also be applied on the other person to also recover? Because $30,000 might take him probably just a month or so.
Thank you for that. I think where you are getting it wrong is you're looking at the figures. You're not looking at the circumstances itself. That's the fact. Every case is unique. Every case, you look at the circumstances. And you weigh the circumstances in terms of intent, there are so many checks. It's not the amount you only check. You're just focusing on 9730. No. That is not the way law works. That is not the way justice works. No, what I'm saying is that you need to understand the particulars of the case itself. You don't look at the figures. Don't look at the figures. Even if you go to the criminal justice system, two people will commit the same crime. They'll free one, and they'll convict one. So that's not the way justice works. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think the cases are in public domain. You can read and then make your own independent comparative analysis. It's better than, perception or something. Now we go to the other side. And
Let me take one from here.
Oh, all right. Okay. He has been on the waiting list longer. After him, then.
All right. Thank you very much. Good morning, honorable ministers and everyone here present. So first, Gala will do the statement officially and will also raise questions. But quickly for clarification, that the Honorable Minister of Justice said the Public Order Act is constitutional, yes, but it's not aligning with the best practices, so we clear that. No, just a clarification. Okay. Yeah, I'll ask questions. I'll give it, I'm setting a period. I just to say that it can be constitutional, but not aligning with best practice, especially human rights practice, so we can get it from it if it is constitutional. My first question is, the statement you said the President has ordered for arrest and prosecution of perpetrators in the AKI. This is 2022. How far with the arrest and prosecution? Who are the individuals, and how far is that going? We want specifics, so that we are clear in what we do. Two, the two ministers and the director of Gas Petroleum that are involved in the petroleum type. I'm sure the investigation goes on. We should start setting penalties before investigations end, otherwise delay for justice will always happen. What is happening to them? They are still in cabinet and in the PD is still in Gas Petroleum. Second, why is the government have to wait for the victims struggle in court every day before they can take action and then deliver justice for the AKI? The government should not wait for the court. They went to the court because justice was delayed. Justice should have been done before struggling in the court. Thank you. That's Gala with that point.
you can, where is the person who was asking the question? Yeah, so if I miss out something, you can refresh my memory. On the AKI, the head of the Medicine Control Agency was dismissed. I'm not sure whether the public is aware of that. You're aware. The representative of the victims' families started negotiations with government. There were exchanges and offers made. Are you with me? So there was a dialogue that started. Offers were made for compensation. They were torn down, and then they chose to go to court. Now, the nature of the AKI incident, I wish my colleague, the health minister, was here. I'll speak the area where the legal issues are concerned. My office contacted a law firm in the United States that are specialized in, you can say medicine, because some big law practices have different specialization. These ones have a big practice with respect to pharmaceutical law. So we were working with them, trying to see what remedies could be available to us even internationally. As we speak, the ambassador of the Gambia in India is actively working on having clearance from the government of India for a delegation from the Gambia to travel. The delegation appointed by His Excellency includes the foreign minister. It started during the time of the former foreign minister, the health minister, and myself, because I've been informed to be on standby to be on that mission. So there is a bilateral engagement that is also underway. But of course, some of these things, you need to understand, they hardly can move as fast as sometimes we want them. But locally, as a government, the task force did their work, they did their recommendations. Some aspects of the recommendations were implemented, and some aspects are still awaiting the implementation. Including in their recommendations is reform of the laws. And the reform of the laws, a consultancy is currently underway that is reviewing the entire legal framework, the medical system. Not only medicine and pharmaceutical laws, but they are reviewing the whole laws of the Ministry of Health. And this process is underway. The consultancy here, because I'm following, because the consultant also talks to me. So a greater aspect of the recommendations done by the task force with respect to the AKI is underway. But this is government. And if you belong to civil society, you need to understand, if you are on the other side, there are things that don't move that way. Certain things have procedures, and they have to follow those due processes. Your second issue was now the two ministers with respect to the parliamentary resolution. You need to understand first resolutions of parliament. They are recommendations on government. They are not binding in their nature. Best practice determines that we work with parliament and see how they are implemented. But with respect to the two ministers, parliament did not recommend to the president to remove them. They recommended censure. Censure is a parliamentary process that have to be initiated from within parliament itself and be implemented by parliament, not executive. And censure must be based on proven evidence. So parliament needed to initiate a petition from within the parliament that will be signed by members, and that petition will be served on the president, and the president will serve the two ministers concerned. 2 weeks after the date of the censure, the petition is served, there will be a debate in parliament, and the grounds of the censure will be debated. And those ministers concerned are entitled to reply. They are entitled to respond, because these are still allegations. They will reply, and parliament will take a vote. And then when the vote is carried, then the censure succeeds. If the vote is not carried, the censure fails. Remember, we all yearn for rule of law in this country. We cannot just say that somebody is accused of something, therefore we act. We have to give people the benefit of the doubt. They are entitled to respond. They are entitled to their side of the story. That's what we all cried for. And this can happen to any one of us. We can be a victim of any allegation. Are we saying once somebody is accused to defend himself or respond or reply? So the censure that is recommended in the resolution, if Parliament wanted, it's an independent organ of government. They can initiate the censure process against the said ministers. So, but the resolution, I think most of the press statement that was read here today is in response to some of the key contents of some of those resolutions you will respond to, isn't it? So this dialogue can... Of course, any law is amendable. But you raise human rights. We need to get things right. If we have to dialogue honestly. Right. The ECOWAS Community Court of Justice tested our Public Order Act against the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, which is the African standard of our Human Rights Charter. You know about that judgment?
Yes, I know.
You read it?
Yes, I read the judgment.
So?
However, you see, that is the thing with the court. I'm not a lawyer, but that's the thing with the court. The court may make a judgment, principles, and evidence. That doesn't deny the fact that human rights, protest, or peaceful assembly is a fundamental human right. So any other law or bylaw must not be used to censor it. That's where the conversation should be. Parking laws aside, Honorable, let's just see that it should be, let's amend the Public Order Act.
Like I said,
let the dialogue start from there.
All right, that's fine. Government is willing to anything that can be dialogue. Nothing is off the table. As long as we are talking, we can talk. How do we even amend it? What do we amend it? What do we agree to disagree? These things can form part of the dialogue. Nobody is saying it cannot be discussed. But if we have to discuss, we have to discuss from a frank point of view. You cannot tell me something is illegal that I know is not illegal. And I agree just because I want to dialogue with you. All right then.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I said let's be considerate again.
Gambia has tabled this bill before the National Assembly to repeal the Public Order Act. It was withdrawn from the Parliament. Up to today, the public didn't know what was the rationale behind the withdrawal of the repeal of the Public Order Act, and you need to tell the public because this has been a concern. And the follow-up question is regarding about the issue of the AKI victims. Government has a responsibility to protect lives and properties of the Gambian citizens, and once life is lost, then there's a criminal element in people failing in their responsibility. Why did the government wait for the victims' families to pick up the matter when government could have protected their citizens by instituting a criminal charges against anybody who was found wanting about the AKI victims, rather than just suspending or expelling medical pharmaceutical council, I don't know, their director, rather than actually taking a legal action for his negligence or whatever?
I don't know the reason for the withdrawal of the bill to repeal the Public Order Act. I'm afraid probably I can find that, because nobody have ever briefed me the reason for the withdrawal, so I couldn't speak to that. AKI, like I said, a process was going on. The right to go to court anytime they feel like. Probably they think government process is slow. And that we are not embarrassed to admit to that. Government processes, even in the developed world, sometimes can be painstaking. This is a hard fact. Governments don't operate like a private company. So many things have to go through so many processes. And sometimes it's true. Not only even AKI victims, even the victims of Jammeh. The transitional justice, some believe that is going very slow. But we are doing what we can do and our best under the circumstances. And I wish any one of you will be sitting on the chair that I'm sitting. You will face the same challenges, right? So sometimes we wish things to happen, but we cannot get them to happen at the pace at which we want it. And because of processes, because government have a design system, have processes, have laws, have a lot of regulations that need to be followed, and some of these things, some don't happen the way overnight. So processes were underway, like I said. There were even negotiations that started. I can even go to an extent to tell you there was a budget line to start compensating the victims. But they declined the offer that was made by government, and they choose to claim higher amounts in court. Once they go to court, we are now bound to go with them to court and wait and see the outcome of the court. We couldn't do much. But we continue with our other bilateral engagement, trying to engage the government of India, try to see how we get in touch with the company that is actually the company that manufactured these drugs until they found their way into the Gambia. So government is relentless. No government will lose kids, babies, and be complicit in the way you address that issue. Really. But like I tell you, we are doing what we can, but in the meantime, we were served with a suit from the courts. What do we have? We have no choice but to go to court and start defending the suit that we were served with. But there was a budget already allocated for compensation. But what we offered, they didn't accept it. They didn't even accept a part payment. So what else can you do?
How much was it? It's important.
No, on top of my head, I cannot remember. That budget is with the Ministry of Health, not me. But Ministry of Health have informed me as the government lawyer that we have this much amount. Because I am the one that was talking to their lawyers, they've instructed me to negotiate. If I agree with them, Ministry of Health had a budget they are willing to pay. But in our negotiation with their lawyers, the gap was so high, so we couldn't agree. The next minute we were served. And that recommendation need to be investigated because these people have a contract. So you need to do further investigation and check and decide what is the best course of action. We need to understand, you see, if we want to be in civil society and we want to be advocates, we need to understand the relationship between organs of state. National Assembly does not necessarily dictate to the executive. When they pass a resolution and ask government to do something, its equivalent in law is a recommendation. Now, government need to look into that investigation and look at the evidence that National Assembly relied on to recommend that somebody should be sacked or somebody should be punished. So those investigations, I don't know, but those investigations were going on as far as I am aware. But from the legal point of view, I just want to clarify that it's not every recommendation from the National Assembly to the executive can be acted upon without further check. Because the recommendation is not law. This is one organ of state sending recommendation to another organ of state. It's not a court judgment.
So let's be clear. Besides the legal consideration, the charge against the general manager, GAM Petroleum, Mr. Jallo, was that he was unfairly allocating storage space. We call it ullage. Right? Now, to that extent of unfair treatment in the allocation of ullage, then that was the basis for the recommendation. Now, but the investigation and the substantive evidence that supports it was also quite weak because the statement have clearly addressed that to say at the time of allegation of unfair treatment, actually, there was ample space on in the depot. About half of the space of the depot was occupied. Now, if that is the case, why also not make similar recommendation to the other private storage facility, where some of this oil also found its way anyway? So you said that you were this was unfair allocation of space, but these people were I mean at the time literally all OMC were boycotting the space. They were not going there, and that even when this gentleman was the one who initiated and make engagement to attract even half of the space then get occupied through his time. So he was desperately looking for people to come and patronize his space. But like I said, it's a recommendation. And like the Attorney General have said, not all recommendations are binding, but the state have responsibility to look into it and on the benefit of the merits, then address it.
Let me clarify one thing. If you just 1 second, let me clarify something. If you look at the schedule of the National Assembly for this September session that has been published, some of those recommendations they have listed the ministers concerned to come and respond. Because in their own standing orders, when they make such resolutions, whoever has been advancedly mentioned in those resolutions, you are entitled to respond. All right? So if you look at the September session, in their schedules, ministers have been listed to come and respond to some of those resolutions that were made. That shows that even after the resolution, National Assembly itself knows that there is room that the person that has been advancedly mentioned could make a reply, and based on that reply, in fact, their position could change. So you don't expect that once a resolution is passed, it will be implemented. Some of these resolutions need further investigation, whether the allegations are substantiated or not.
Next question. No. Next question, please.
National Assembly recommended that because he was giving out depot spaces.
No, that's not me. I don't know about that.
Okay, next question.
They also accused him of receiving 600,000 everyone from like.
Is it done or you're done? No.
Was that stated in the report? No. Was that stated in the report? Did you read the report? No, it's not there.
All right, next question. Next question, your name and media organization, regarding. Yeah, so which one? No, we have to balance, that side, and then we go back to the other. We have to balance both sides. I shall give you mic, and then we go to the other side. We have to balance, Let's be considerate. One question to other colleagues. You hear it's very crowded today. We have a full house today. Remember, go ahead, your name and media organization and question.
Thank you very much. My name is Momo Jane from the KMC Community Radio. I will start from the Minister of Finance. He made mention that the government is ready and committed to having dialogue with young people. But my question will go to the Attorney General, Minister of Justice. We are having 38 young people.
So wait, you said where are you from?
KMC Community Radio.
It's a registered radio station.
We have to have questions based on today's.
That question.
No, I'm asking, is it a registered community radio?
Well, you should help with that.
Next question.
So my question.
No, wait, before you ask you, let's clarify this first. If it's online.
I mean, let him stay. Where is he? Don't take him out. Let him stay. We just need to talk to each other as brothers, no temper. What we told the questionnaire, maybe we were not speaking the mic, is the question was answered before.
No, he said he cannot answer the question. The Justice Minister will come and step in and answer. That's what he said.
No. I was here when the question was answered. Myself, I was in the room. When I just came in, I was sitting over there. And he answered. But anyway, what's your question? Repeat it.
I am saying.
Yes.
We have about 38 young people.
Yes.
nguur bi dafa doon nguur boo xamante ne dafa jàppante ak corruption audit report yi ngay génn jaane commission yi xale na liggéeyam xale bi ñu ko gëstuwaat di ko day yaakaar ne xale li jàmbale dafa dañ ko séedoo bokk ci diggante nit ñi nguur ñi tey naka nga mën a reconcile ranking bi at global level ak perception bi back home so loolu mën a def ma laa jërëjëf
liñ mën a wax rek mooy ne corruption is not absolutely measured. Perception ngay nata. Perception yi dëkk bi ak perception yi ñoo xam ne that is done by an organization called Transparency International. So ñoom seen sarta yi ñoo xool pour identify lanay corruption ak the local context de be ute. So you say ñu bari ñi ngi wax ne affaire corruption léegi is rampant is because government is actively disclosing this information. Most of these corruption cases are not immediate. They are past events. So I think that is, and having such a discourse, when a government is ready, and there is no corrupt-free country that I know of. It's just the magnitude and the degree. And this level of dialogue is important. So, Transparency International, lola aduna pi yep ranye si measurement of corruption. National perception, they ute at international, so you cannot marry the two. They are like apple and oranges. All right? I hope I answered. Thank you.
Thank you. You have about 20 minutes to wrap up.
This one has to do with the medical lab. We want to know the exact state of the medical lab and when they start functioning. The second one has to do with the state-owned enterprise. There is an ongoing trend that the SOEs are now being privatized, and the most recent one is Gamcel. Gamcel in an interview said the government is not spending on it, and that is why when most of the they are having 4, 5 Gs, they were still in 2G. And this has made them to have more expenditure than the income they generated. We want to know what is the government's stake, why is the trend going that way, that the SOEs, the state-owned enterprises, are now being privatized.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we need to have a good foundation. Privatization is different from a concession. They may sound technical, but privatization means government selling its shares, its ownership rights. It's different from, like people claim, we have privatized the port. The port has not been privatized. The concession is a partnership between a government and a private operator to do a certain activity. The ownership rights of Gambia Port Authority has not been diluted. The concession partner in the government, in the port's concession, has no shareholder rights in the Gambia Ports Authority. All the rights are within the concession to manage the ports and invest in the deep sea port of Sanyang for a period. Immediately that period lapses, the asset will reflow back to the state. Ownership has not changed. And the issue of Gamtel's performance. Gamtel, is a limited liability company owned and managed independently. We all know if you are like an adult, it's just like a case of a child in a house. Your father or your parents schooled you, put you in a job market, educate you. You say, but now I cannot find a job. As such, what do? You should have helped me. The management of any public enterprise has unfettered access to raise resources, to invest, to manage. Failure to do so, do you expect government to, because that's the difference. You cannot take public resources and put into SOEs for their continued survival. The management and the board of the SOEs should go to the market, raise resources, and invest for their continuity. That's what their private sector counterparts have done. They did not sit down and say, our shareholders have given us this much, the market is changing, and what do we have gone to the market, borrow, invest, and grow, or do other management efforts to further their objectives. So if a state-owned enterprise has operational issues, they are independent. It is for them, in fact, as we speak, it's a very funny situation. In the same sector, you are operating, your competition is, all the Gamcell or Gamtel is the lead, is the backbone of the digital system in the country. How come the private sector are able to be more efficient? And they are free to do as they deem. There was no government, of course, legacy issues are there, but under this current dispensation, I'm not aware of government interference. Instead, in fact, government has facilitated certain things by even trying to borrow. For some of them, the loans government have taken for their expansion, like Gamtel, the Eco One. Government today, as we speak, is financing those loans. That's the whole fact. If, for example, you have contracted a loan, you are a limited liability company, you are a state-owned enterprise, you should be able to finance it. Part of the debt stock of government is not the direct borrowing of the government alone. Because government was the guarantor, if they did not pay, government is coming in to pay. The Eco One is not serviced by a butut, by any of the Gamtel. It is the government of the Gambia that is adding it to its debt stock and servicing the debt. So I hope I'm clearer on this. And we are more than happy. The concession arrangement, we are not privatizing. And as we speak today, the net worth of Gamtel is not an asset, it's a liability. The liabilities exceed the asset base. I can safely say that for Gamcell particularly, for 3 months in a row, we were taking from our government, these are all arrangement concessions to help bring about efficiency. We all know the Ports Authority is a case in point. If you look at the congestion that was happening there before this concession, ships, any container bound for Banjul has an automatic congestion charge. Ships were bathing at sea for more than 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks. In fact, that's why shipments to Gambia used to take months. But with the concession coming on board, there is no waiting time at the port of Banjul. And that's why it has even started reflecting in the price of goods. I'm sure we all notice how much a bag of rice is. It has not gone down a lot, but it has gone down. It's not even going up. All this, yes, we know. No, it depends on the quality of rice. If you, no, I bought too. I am in the country. I'm just explaining the price of goods have not gone up that much. If you buy an American rice, that one is what everybody buys, including myself. I went to the market, and this is not a make-up story, and I asked. At the turntable, I asked, he says it's 2,070. I said, but the last time it was 2,200. What has happened? He said, no, what the Hawaii. This is a transaction I conducted myself. At the turntable, there is a sub there. I'm just speaking from my own experience. I'm not making it up. Yes, so these are facts. All of these, and that's not the only one. There are a lot of other efficiency gains the concession is bringing in. So I hope I'm clear on that. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Quickly on the medical lab, I read from the ministry. Medical lab is almost ready. Most of the equipment. You know where the medical lab is, by the way? Burusuwe. How is it? It's good. It's nice, huh? Wonderful.
You should go for a visit. Contact the Ministry of Health.
Medical lab is almost ready. Most of the equipment is purchased and in country. For early next year, the lab will be in use and operational.
Awarded against the government. Thank you.
Nothing has been awarded.
No, I mean, after the case.
Okay, let's wait for the...
I know, I've been knowing.
Okay, so you are asking if they prevail in the court, whether we will honor the judgment. Yes, government is committed to honor all judgments entered against it that has not been appealed and set aside. But however, again, like I said, from outside these dialogues are important. We have a queue of judgments to settle. We have a queue of judgments. Now I'm telling you, I'm being very real. So judgments are paid based on how they come. Because these things are budgeted. I mean, National Assembly, you can talk to them. There are budget lines on the Ministry of Finance for settlement of judgments that are entered against the government. You can have judgments locally, you can have judgments sometimes even in international arbitration courts and things like that. So they are paid as they come, depending on how the budget can sustain them. So, but there is no deliberate, in fact, if you check with the ECOWAS Community Court, let me just say that Gambia is in the whole of ECOWAS region for honoring judgments, monetary judgments awarded by the ECOWAS Community Court. And these are paid to Gambians. Gambians who took the Gambia government to the ECOWAS Community Court. Of course, most of the issues they took the government to court for are Jammeh-related human rights violations. But when they prevail, we pay them, and we still pay. So when you have a subsisting valid judgment, monetary, government will pay. It's coming from all of our money, all of us. It's the taxpayers' money. So if your judgment is valid and is monetary, one day you will get your money. So, but with AKI, that's your question specific to that. Of course, yes. The reason why we are in court, if they prevail, we will respect the judgment.
Right?
Yes. Follow up to that? Yeah, why not?
Name and media organization.
As one state that
compliance with their judgments.
Is that compliance to ECOWAS court judgments?
That's what I'm saying. ECOWAS community court judgments.
We're talking about our courts.
That's what I'm telling you.
So no, just wait, no. We're talking about our court. It's either you pay or you pay your fees and they will remove it from it. We are saying our local court judgment.
Okay.
Our local court judgment. Are we respecting the judgment and the fines and paying? Because Pamodu is an example, and a lot more examples. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about the ECOWAS judge. Let's localize the conversation now.
So with Pamodu's case, do you know that it has been appealed? There was instruction to have the matter appealed, so we need to check that. Well, what I'm saying, you are right. There's a distinction between domestic court judgments and ECOWAS court judgment. But you are wrong in saying that we don't have an option with ECOWAS court. In fact, enforcement of the ECOWAS court judgment on a sovereign country is even more difficult. Because if we don't pay, there's nothing they can do. Enforcing a judgment against a sovereign state is even more difficult than the domestic ones. So it's not that we are compliant with payment of ECOWAS court judgment because we don't have an option. No, it's the character of this government I'm trying to show, that we are willing and ready to comply with valid court judgments, domestically or internationally. And we've already made a record at the international stage, and we are doing our best to comply with almost all the domestic court judgments.
What was it?
Why was it?
Taking the resolution for recommendation from the National Assembly.
Yes. That is what is leading to all this dialogue. In our preparation of this statement that was delivered by the Honorable Minister for Finance, we looked at every single allegation contained in that resolution. But like I told you, we go through them, look at the evidence that the National Assembly had access to, and their conclusions vis-a-vis what is the other evidence that they might not even have seen. So yes, government is looking into it. Sure. We don't just say it's a recommendation, so we put it aside. No.
So if they are found wanted?
Naturally, this government, President Barrow had made a statement that there's not going to be he's not going to be anybody's godfather with respect to these issues.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Your name, media organization?
Abaraka Bata, I'm the President of the Manita Kawan. You told me Abdullah Dabo, the voice out together. Then you follow the community, well, Minister of Finance, Bravo Lurinjang. I tell you, Game Masakunda, Indiana Masakunda, Kataso, Purkade, if a case file and I'm in Mille Buru, not in India, a Mille Buru in the last, so manufacturing. So I like to know development in Benin because case me take a coming 2022. And if the government justice delay is justice delay. 3 years hands and case of member of the and in front of corruption or issue, Nigel from public case, I made that becoming a baby than accountability, one of Contiboro, Karum Omoni, Niagi, dismiss it, we demote whatever you prosecute, go to the forced retirement. But you do reactive measures at Masakunda, Ekatama back in one of proactive measures. So Mbal of the Kalum, Municipal, we would put the corruption or poor, although it can eradicate, but can mitigate Kennedy, Pral Coach, Kalakadu, limited one week of Bankoka. You cannot afford money surrounded when the president will pay one to enough in the sentence, but as a prevent no Kennedy.
Mal bebe fam. You never mun na nyantoti because nga menjube masakunda mal ala banku dingol sibla katako because hadama dingo hadama di mantimba so wala nanga ferol landi ka falendiro ke masakunda la nafulo tamande nyaato nundo ni tata immigration passport e ka kodo jo kasialera bisa wote kere ni tata e ka jo banque ni tata lands e ka jo banque ni tata RVTH nunto kasialle beje ka kodo kole sain banque le beje so lafta menkela wala nyenti ko follow ni lafta kay ila banko dingol tanka ike tanka katale follow wala nyindi la do ko bunda tukula kodoma so masakunda la tamadri nya falenta wol bi ni data GRA ici la clearance beke e mesingolo ports e mesingolo GRA eni custom officer man ñoci na pareta système moy access yeta banque yajo wolbele beje pour kamol makoy kam masakunda makoy ka tamadri nya fali masanu nala nafulo o mo kilindi fulan jango nunto nin ko kete kapi saim buka so wala akere wato men nam boda kala man simo kije internal audit be ministerial beto auditor general fanala do ko ba tamandika anu nunto audit report sol kanale yetara palri ku buka keje bar saim men kake audit report be fundila dron mesilo momorondi ni e to safeje ngawolle to safejante ko masakunda ka simfal bentaji ku jamal funte ta jam manke ko molli ya fonde mun tol fangol la do ku nya wole o fali wala na ko wol nata funti andun say nga memuta and ko president nga fo nyamen mote keri min sa fo ko abe tankandela ni e menje dron ibe tamela kitiyo nyatli wala loi men fo o loi tama so walantina ngana hani public finance management ba falinkan be loi kutol samba kanna pour ka jeko masakunda la tamandirenya na folo la tamandirenya be fale isaje ko ni dara tubabu ne aje tubabu la corruption mansia ni dara tubabu ini ma molka menke pour ka kodo tamini nyobula bukasia mfana la to sifa le dundi la jam so wol damate kere anim fana audit be kere ne fuwal be falinkan ne ani ni ajube digitalization. You understand it? So abole nyama. I hope. Yes.
Wait. In
English? Okay. Yes. All I'm trying to say, this is a very good question. Our objective to fight corruption is by building institutions and reforming processes and procedures of managing public finances. We have to protect our citizens because every human being is fragile, is amenable to make mistakes. Some of these cases, with hindsight, they could have been avoided. It was because of the way the systems were designed. Now we have now gone on to reform the entire government financial management system. In fact, I can safely say in the next few, if it is not already happening, a directive has been issued to eliminate all cashier positions. No longer will any public revenue transaction be handled by a cashier. Even if it is happening, know that it has not yet got there. But we want to ensure that every payment is online, if we get there, or you pay it to a bank, so as to prevent citizens from having the temptation, because it's sometimes, let me give a simple example. You are collecting millions, and your salary is, let's say, 5,000, and you have financial problems. It's very human that every day you take one $10, or I'll fix it tomorrow, thinking that you can make it up. By the time you realize it, it has ballooned to a large amount. That's why we are changing our public financial management systems to ensure that people do not have access to public resources. Our procurement laws have been revised to ensure enhanced. And we did not just do this in isolation. Holistic financial management system and vulnerabilities. These include changing the procedures, that's why the public financial management is being changed. And we are very pleased. Even if you look at the performance of the revenue collection, all is a reflection of the changes that are being put in place. And I can tell you, some of these changes are not easy to institute. The credit goes to the president himself, because in instituting some of these changes, they are so difficult that the people who are there right now will put up every resistance for it not to take place. But the president is unwavering. He said he has zero tolerance to corruption, and that's why he has instructed us to proactively deter and prevent corruption. The internal audit is working actively, the Auditor General reports, and all these things, like for example, we can pull out some of the cases. Some of them have been discovered at our own instigation. It's not it's the whole mechanism of review and processes that we've put in place. It's a work in progress, but we are slowly getting there. And I think it is incumbent on any citizen, if you see something wrong, report it, say it, and action will be taken. Thank you.
On the Indian government, not the details, but like I said, I've been informed that a delegation a special mission have been approved by the president for a while. Well, this is bilateral. So the mission is being prepared. It has been on for a while, since the time of the former foreign minister. So the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is working on having the mission cleared from the other end, and then the bilateral mission will be undertaken, a high-level mission will be taken to India.
Thank you. Thank you. Last set of questions.
I can stay or I can sit. Your question? Well, I'm not the chair. Who do you give?
The mic? Where's the mic? Take the mic. Who has the
Final question.
Let me take it from where you landed.
One final question. The journalist there, yes.
Not, but I'm disagreeing that there is anybody in that prison that is there for years without going to magistrate court or court. And I'm giving you the reasons. We have regular prison visits, and then we make sure that the remanded prisoners, their cases may be slow, but for a year, 2 or 3 without appearing before the court, we would definitely be more than happy to receive, if you remember the names of those prisoners. No, it's okay. We can take this dialogue further, because that is a serious thing. We will take note of that, and we will address those ones immediately. But that will be very surprising to me, that somebody will be in prison for even a year without appearing before court if you are a remanded prisoner, right? So we can deal with that if you're able to remember any one of these things. Oh yes, we will deal with those ones. Because we have a regular prison visits. Even the Director of Public Prosecution, the Gambia Bar Association, regularly visits the prisons to take note of those cases and make sure we partner with the judiciary. Not long ago, even the judiciary organized a prison visit with the bar and my office to go and look at those cases and make sure how do we expedite their cases. It's absolutely wrong. It cannot be excused. So we will be very interested to know about those ones so that we can deal with them quickly. The prison's conditions is bad. We don't even argue that. Terrible, whatever you give it, especially for you who came. But this was a strong recommendation of the TRRC as well, prisons reform, and is accepted by government. I don't know whether you watched the Ministry of Interior's turn at the Mansakunda. Was it last week or week before? They have extensively dealt with this issue. The responses are in the YouTube. Already we have a plan for a brand new prison. Part of the funds have already been secured. Land has been secured, and work will commence very soon. So it's a priority. Like I said, it has always remained a priority, but again, the same processes. But as we speak at the moment, the site is secured. Plan have been brought to cabinet, which has been endorsed, and I think more than half of the funds required to start the work have also been secured. So work will start soon, so that Mile 2 prisons will completely be closed down.
Thank you. Final question.
Private limited liability company. Recommendations from the government have to go through their governance structure. That means through their board. And that's what the report is actually insinuating. If he was a direct employee of the government could have taken direct action. But that is a point of clarification. And I think we will be transparent with you in this regard. Gambia Petroleum being a limited liability company, of course, majority shareholders are owned by parastatals, which are government, but by form is a limited liability and it has its own board. So in such cases, even when the earlier crisis happened, all the work that was done through the board. You cannot ask government, go ahead and impose on a limited liability company your own course of action to take. So the recommendations have been communicated duly to the governance structure, and the timetable is for them to proceed with that. Thank you.
On the second question.
This one's released on bail.
Yes.
Who is the author of the question?
Yes. Question has disappeared. Where is she?
I'm not too sure whether they're the same offense. The file hasn't reached me yet. It's still a law enforcement stage. I just will try to probably pass an answer. I'm not specific to the previous. Remember, this case at this stage is still at the interior level. It's law enforcement. It hasn't reached my office yet. But it's normal. That's this law enforcement discretion. You can release somebody on self-recognition. You can release somebody on other bail conditions. So it's perfectly okay. I don't know what informed the difference. I wouldn't know at this stage until the file reaches my office. But I can say it's not out of normal. It's not out of the ordinary. It's entirely the discretion of law enforcement.
In a productive session, and the government will continue to engage. We believe in dialogue and transparency, and will continue to engage. We'll take your inputs, your ideas. I would like to invite the Honorable Minister of Information Media.
The importance that we attach to these issues, that is why all these ministers came. And I thank them for coming and also for taking their time to respond to some of your questions. I also like to thank the gala for coming and also for accepting our invitation to come, and also for being civil and also polite, and also for cooperating in asking questions in a manner that we expect in a democratic setting. Also to thank all government officials and members of the press, of course, because it's a press conference. We hope, or we wish we had more time to discuss. I've seen that people are still having questions. This is the importance of dialogue. We'll organize, yesterday, working on something to have a town hall. This is the way we can solve our problems. I don't think it's about us, we and them. Like it's about us. We have a journey, a common journey. On this journey, our destinies are tied as people, as citizens. And I think if we don't dialogue, we will never understand each other. Perhaps Mian Lamin C is my brother. He might be on the other side, venting. But if we sit and dialogue, we'll understand that we're all on the same page. So let us have that spirit. That should be the spirit going forward, like I said. I know the Public Order Act is a contentious issue. But like you said, the dialogue continues. Every country goes through a reform process. the desire you have to repeal it is the desire other citizens have to maintain it. There are citizens who think that we should maintain it because they believe that it will protect. Well, no democracy, in fact. Even in the UK, before you go out to protest, you have to notify the police so they can give the required security. Okay? You need to notify the Metropolitan Police if you want to go out and protest in London. So the Public Order Act is not here to censor or to infringe on people's right to come out and demonstrate. Demonstration is part of political participation. We want people to come out and exercise that right. But in the exercise of that right, the police has to know about it so they can protect you. The right you have to come out to protest is the right somebody else has a right to come and counter-protest. Now, if the police is not aware, and two groups meet and protest, and there is destruction of life and property, who's going to take the blame? The police, because they are responsible for the protection of life and property. So, the Public Order Act is a law for now. Let the dialogue continue to see what we can do, whether to repeal it or to amend it, so that nobody loses, so that citizens' rights are respected, but public order is maintained. We have to find that balance. So the dialogue will continue, like I said. As a government, we are committed to listening to the concerns and voices of young people. In fact, every citizen. We've now extended the olive branch that before we take to the streets to demonstrate in anger, engage first. Where we did not listen to your engagements and your concerns, or we express nonchalance, then you could say we've exhausted all possible peaceful means of engaging with government. Now we are going to the streets. Then you have a justification for it. But every small thing, within 24 hours we are going to the streets. It is not going to solve anybody's problem. So now going forward, we have opened the gates for engagement. And we are ready to engage with all young people in this country. If you have a concern, let us engage and discuss about it. On that note, I thank you all. This is very fruitful. We'll be having these engagements once in a while so that the public, we understand, public have concerns. And I think we're all on the same page, like I said. We are not enemies. We are not on the different divide. We all want the same thing for the country. All we want, all of us here, is a developed, transformative Gambia. And I think all of us should work together to make that happen. On that note, I thank you all.